Hello and welcome to another episode of Interview with a Schizophrenic. My name is Duncan, I am your host, and today I have the great pleasure of having Zoe with me from the United States. Hello Zoe, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
That's great, fantastic. So Zoe is one of the younger participants of this interview show, but she does have a diagnosis. I believe your diagnosis is schizoaffective, Zoe,
Yes, schizoaffective with depression.
with depression. So, why don't you tell us how it started for you, how you got diagnosed, what was leading up to the diagnosis, what you were going through? Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, as a younger child, I experienced a lot of things, and during that time, I had a lot of intrusive thoughts. And as the
Yeah,
years progressed, I just started showing more symptoms such as paranoia and paranoid delusions and whatnot. And it didn't take until I got to high school and
yeah,
I was in a really bad psychotic episode. And it's just like my entire, personality was just shut down. And that was the first time I went to a mental hospital. And that was the
yeah,
starting of my diagnoses. But during that time, for a while, it was just a lot of misdiagnoses. First, they said I had depression and anxiety. I was like, yeah, I can get that. I can get that. Then they said I had bipolar disorder. I was like, I guess I can get that. Then they said I had schizophrenia. I was like, I don't know about that. Because it's like, at that time, I just thought, I just thought having this, not having schizophrenia was just one of like the scarier things to me, mainly because of how it's portrayed.
scary. That's right. Yeah,
And it's just,
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't want to accept it, even though it made sense.
Mm,
And when I finally got my, final diagnosis by, which was, consulted by my psychiatrist and my personal therapist, they said, well, it sounds like you have schizoaffective with depression since my psychotic episodes and depressive symptoms aren't, consistent. They described it
Ha-
as like a bipolar disorder, but with psychotic tendencies,
yeah,
as well as it's
mm,
being accompanied by depression, since I do suffer from suicidal thoughts. And when they
yeah.
said that, I could definitely understand it. But since then, it's been almost 2 years since the diagnosis, and I'm trying, to cope, but not all days are going to be the best for me.
I think schizophrenia is scary when it's diagnosed, and one of the aspects which is quite scary is that it's a lifelong illness. There's no cure, because you're a young girl. So if somebody tells you, yeah, Zoe, you've got schizophrenia, that's quite a big thing, to be honest with you, isn't it? I mean, do you? I mean, my personal opinion is that you're still young, and it's difficult to predict what's going to happen in 10 years or 5 years time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult for them to know, to be sure. um, but yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. But so tell me, you were going through paranoia and delusions. I mean, tell me what sort of things you were going through.
So when I started having the paranoid delusions, for uh I want to say almost a decade, I was being bullied by my
Really?
peers, and nobody was listening to me. And the main occurrence would be they're talking about me, they're talking about me, they're talking about me, you know? And what
Mm,
would be accompanied with that would be mainly like shaking, like mild shaking. And then
yeah.
accompanied with that would be homicidal thoughts, because it's like I just felt really unsafe, obviously, with paranoia. I just felt extremely unsafe. And I constantly
Now, what
thought that I was going to be, attacked, because I did get into fights often to defend myself. And it's just not a good time.
was the now? And then obviously the bullying was happening, and also, but it was mixed in with a delusion. So it was a stronger feeling than it really was in reality. Is that correct?
Um, Whenever I have paranoid delusions uh, surrounding they're talking about me, or I feel like I'm about to get hurt, I have to do something, um, they absolutely feel like reality. Like all of my delusions feel like, it's actually, happening. Like I had
Yeah.
a brief period where I was extremely paranoid about dying, to the point of having panic attacks and having a really bad sleep schedule. And I'd only get like
Mm,
4 to like 3 hours of sleep. It would be that bad. And I was, set on like, I'm going to die in my sleep. I'm going to die in my sleep. I can't sleep. There would be times where I'd have religious delusions, and I'd be like, there is a demon inside of me, there's an angel inside of me, and they're talking to me. There was a brief period where I
mm,
thought that I was an angel myself, and that I was set on the world to, save people. But then it went from I
mm.
have to save these people to a very pessimistic view of the world. So it's just, whenever I experience a delusion, they always feel real, at least to me. And I would get extremely
Yeah.
angry whenever people told me when I'm mentioning my religious delusions. I would get extremely angry when people told me that, oh, they're not real, right? Because it's like it feels so real, and it makes me feel like they're telling me that I'm lying, and that just doesn't sit right with me. But it's like, now
Well,
that I'm
you
out
know,
of that delusional state, I can understand like that was just a moment of psychosis, instead of, yeah, this is just awful. Yeah, like I don't know how to explain it properly.
yeah, no, no, no. I understand because it's like the world we live in, like the day to day life, like you're going to school or going to work, whatever. It's not. It's kind of like an illusion. It's kind of the truth, but it's not the whole truth. And the aspect of the spiritual side is also true, but we deny it and we don't accept it. But it is part of the world. So when you're having delusions, spiritual, religious delusions, there is it is also schizophrenic, sort of a delusion, but there's also a real side to it as well. That's my personal belief, because the world that we live in is not the whole truth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I mean, I cannot. Yeah, because it's not as clear cut as saying someone is schizophrenic, therefore all their delusions are false. It's not as clear cut as that. I don't think so. I think there's a little bit of truth in everything, really. Hmm. So tell me, Zoe, what are you on medication now?
I recently stopped medication by my own choice because of the what is it called? Now I am at a blank for the word. Because of the side effects. So, yeah. I
Yeah.
mainly stopped because of the side effects and because I grow a tolerance to my medication a lot. I would change medications very frequently, and it wouldn't even be a year with them. Mainly because I would experience no change or my symptoms would worsen. So,
Mm.
back in March, I said I just can't do this anymore because it was an extremely bad depressive episode. And like
Mm.
every day, I was like crying my eyes out. I was like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, this medication isn't working. I'd rather, do extensive therapy rather than, take meds that won't work for me. So, even though I recommend medication, I don't think it's for everybody.
But how many years you've? I haven't actually told your age, but you're a young teenager, and you've been ill for 10 years. Is that right?
Yes.
So that's quite a big experience for you. So how many years were you on medication?
I didn't start getting medicated until 2 years ago, but I experienced the
Yeah.
symptoms as a young child.
So you've been in the health system since 2018, but you've
Yes.
had the symptoms for a while. Okay, fine, fine. Yeah, I mean, the medication is a difficult one. Did your psychiatrist agree to you stopping the medication,
Say it one more time.
or did you do it on? Did your psychiatrist, did they let you stop taking the medication,
He did
or
not agree, neither did my therapist. But he
yeah,
did say, since, I'm at my age, that I should be able to make decisions for myself. He did warn me
yeah,
about my symptoms, coming back, or my symptoms, possibly worsening regarding my paranoia because it does get extreme. And it's like,
hmm,
I understand that, but I'm willing to take the risk because I really don't like the side effects that antipsychotics have on me, especially since I'm, this young. Like, it's
hmm,
for me, it's just too much for me to handle.
yeah. I know what you mean. I mean, I've been on medication for like about 20 years, and I think the side effects still affect me now. 20 years later, they still have a big effect on me. So I know where you're coming from. They are very powerful, um, and it is, it's kind of, I guess with you, it's a question of wait and see, because when you get older, perhaps your mental health symptoms might subside. That might be the case. I think it's dangerous for them to diagnose you with a lifelong disorder at such a young age. I think that's quite dangerous. I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't think it's dangerous because it's I don't think it's dangerous. The only thing that I probably disagree with was the medicating part, cuz I'm very self-aware, but at the same time my symptoms
Mm,
does get debilitating. So I can understand why they wanted to medicate me so I could, be able to function better in social situations
mm,
and, function better in life because it's like there
mm,
would be times where I just wouldn't get out of bed. I wouldn't, take a shower, like things like that. It's just, I
mm,
understand medication at times, but I also understand diagnosis because it just gets a better hold
mm,
of, what you're dealing with, for lack of better words, as a psychiatrist and a therapist. Um, because I know that
mm,
there are children younger than me who deal with
yeah.
the exact same, if not similar, you know, things that I do regarding, you know, mental health. And it's like, I don't think it's dangerous, but I do think it's used to better understand, which makes sense to me. But medication, definitely, I don't
Okay,
think,
fine.
yeah, I don't think that
Okay,
medication
fine.
should
I
be
mean,
for.
you come across as a yeah, yeah. I was just going to say you come across as an intelligent, smart young lady. What avenues have you looked in for alternative therapy? Um, you know, obviously we don't want to get medicated. What else have you looked into to help you?
The thing that currently helps me is my personal therapist. I feel, you know, safer whenever I'm in a. I feel safer whenever I get to speak to somebody one on one versus, you know, speaking, you know, in a group setting about my issues versus, you know, speaking to people like my parents or my friends about my issues. Mainly because
Mm,
it's just what if they try to use this against me type of thing. They won't understand type of thing. They'll think I'm
mm,
crazy type of thing. Like,
mm,
it's, I feel like it's more of a personal preference, but it's also a I'm looking out for myself because I don't want history to repeat itself type of thing.
mm. Okay, because I mean, you know, I think I can't, you know, I kind of agree. Like the medication only does so much, and then you've got to look in other aspects of your life to help your mental health. You know, like create like art. I think. I mean, it's just something to to soothe your mind. Do you know what I mean? Something, whatever it can be.
Like, are you
Um,
talking about like coping skills?
I mean, yeah, but coping skills, exactly. Yes, coping skills. Yeah, yeah.
Since I'm at home most of the time, the main thing that I usually do is just, you know, play The Sims and that's it. And that's really, you know,
Mm,
soothing for me. On top of that, I do world building and creative writing, and that, you know, makes
mm,
things a lot more easier to deal with because whenever I get on the topic of creative writing or whatever genre I'm writing in that at that time,
mm.
I just get really excited, and that's all I can think about. So it's just, it's, I guess you can call it
And
therapy,
that,
but not everything, you know,
and that,
is lasting, you know.
but that, that is kind of therapy. I think. I mean, you're expressing yourself. You're expressing your internal self to the outside world. You know, so that's important when you're going through a schizophrenic process where reality and unreality get mixed up. You know, it's important to let your true self come out of your body. It's kind of like it's like tuning your mind. You know, I think that is useful. So tell me, what you do creative writing. Is that something you want to continue as like a career
I
as
would,
you get older? Is that yeah?
I would,
Mm.
but I feel like I wouldn't be good enough for people to, you know, actually purchase anything that I wrote. I like my work. I do. I think I'm good at it, but I'm not, you know, Stephen King type of good, you know?
Yeah, but that's it's all about you know, not everybody's Stephen King. There's only one Stephen King, you know, in the world. You know, and if you've got a mental health condition, it's things are a little bit more difficult. But people do want to hear your story. You know, they want to hear what you've got to say and your take on the world with your experiences in it. You know, that's as valid as important as anybody else. and if you've got that creative spark, you can, that's your thing, really. You know. So tell me, what are your what are your hopes for the future? With considering your diagnosis, are you optimistic? I mean, what is your outlook on life now?
Um, I do have a nihilistic sense of view
Yeah.
regarding my future in the world itself. But there are
Mm,
times where I'm like, okay, well, I do want to do this eventually. Like, I do want to get married. I do want to start a family. Do want to have a successful life and lineage. But
yeah.
it's like at the same time, when I think about my mental health and the way I operate, it just feels like it's not, attainable. Like, I have
Mm,
trauma surrounding adults, especially when adults get confrontational. And that is a
mm,
big thing that I try to, not react in a negative way with, but it just feels like, you know, with people in general, it feels like as I get older,
mm,
I'm still going to have like, that repressed within me. And, everybody has different breaking points. And I just feel like
mm,
if people still act the way that people do, which will be inevitable, that I'm still going to, lash out. Or there's going to be something that somebody says that triggers, a flashback, or that triggers a episode, or, it's just, I just feel like there's so much right now, and in this moment it feels like it won't change, because every time I feel as if it's getting better, or if I'm at a good point in my life, it just feels like it all just comes crashing down, like,
mm,
and a lot of times it feels like I can't do much about it. And I do hope for the best, but at the same time I'm not expecting much.
mm. Yeah, I know kind of what you mean. You've got to have that cynical, um, dark-sided edge view of life as well if you've got a mental health condition, because it's not all peaches and ice cream. There is a dark side to life. Um, when your own mind is attacking you, you've got to realize, you've got to be on your guard at times. I definitely agree with you. But I think mental health is kind of like an altered state that you go into, so it can give you a different life experience to like a normal person. Like a normal woman might want to be like a Stepford wife or something, whereas if you've got a mental health condition, you've got like a different outlook on life. It gives you that different. Perhaps you can see things for what they really are. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot of life is an illusion. There's a lot of we're sold a lie, because the truth, people are afraid of the truth. You know,
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I mean, so have you ever hallucinated or anything like that?
Yes. The first time I
Oh,
hallucinated
you have.
was when I was 15, and I was in a really bad depressive episode. And I was
Mm,
trying to go to sleep, and it was just like three voices. And they were just like, "You're
mm,
stupid, you're ugly, you're fat, kill yourself, kill yourself, kill yourself." I'm like, God damn, let me
mm.
let me go to sleep, or at least one at a time. But
Yeah. Yeah.
but since then, it has been, off and on again, hallucinations. The main one was black figures. Um,
Yeah.
and it's like I knew
The
those were
shadow people. Shadow
hallucinations, because it's
people.
like I know that like shadow people aren't, running from
Yeah.
door to door and everything. Like I know that. But
Yeah.
more recently, it's been like fleas biting me, and that has been
Okay.
extremely uncomfortable, as you could imagine, because it's like I feel a flea biting me, and I look on my arm. There's nothing there. I'm like, get off, get off. You know, it's just the last time I had a bug related tactile hallucination. Um,
Mm.
I was like trying to go to sleep, and there it felt like there was this roach crawling all over me, and I was just like, get off, get off, get off. I'm like sitting there panicking right next to my mom because we were driving, and she's like,
Yeah.
so what's wrong? Like I was like, there's a bug on me, mom. It has to get off. It has to get off. It's like, there's nothing on you. There's nothing on you. It's just like, but it doesn't feel like the truth because it's like you can feel it. It's just, I just feel like that's just one
Yeah.
of the worst things because it's just, especially when you
You know.
can't
You know. You
see
know.
it because it's just like you're trying so hard.
Yeah.
Like, where is it? Get off, get off, get off. And it won't get off.
You know. You know. I'm serious about. I think there's a little truth in everything we experience. You know, even as schizophrenics, you know, there is a little truth in it. Um, because that's just the way the world is. You know. Um, but yeah, I saw. I know tactile hallucinations. I kind of have them a little bit, but yeah, it's just somewhat, yeah, it's irritating. Okay, so so Zoe, I think we can wrap it up here.
Yeah, that's
Thank you for
fine.
coming and speaking to me. You know, a lot of people chicken out of the interview. You've got to be quite brave and ballsy to have an interview one to one and then be on the internet. You know, it's quite a ballsy thing to do. So I thank you for that because you know on the you know where I found you, there were other people, and you're the only one who's basically got through all of the stages um, to come and speak to me. So I think that's fantastic. You know, and maybe I'll you know I'll check up on you next year and we can have another chat. You know, if you'd like to do that. Um,
Yeah, that's
but
fine.
absolute, you know, absolute pleasure to talk to you. Um, you know, so it'll be really. I think it's important that you know we speak again to see how you're doing, and you can have further reflections um, and just have another chat. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play some. Did you say you liked? Was it what type of music did you like?
I like funk.
Okay, so I'm gonna play some funk music at the end of this show, and yeah, so that's great. So thank you very much, Zoe, and we'll chat again soon.
All right. See you in a year.
Okay, thank you.